All right, welcome back to another episode of the relationship series where we always talk about the matters of the heart and mind. My name is Gina Spataro, and that over there is my brother, Sam Spataro. Tonight we have a very interesting topic because in Ontario, there's something that's happening next week, which is back to school for a lot of our little ones. And there's a lot of uncertainty that is surrounded by that. But first, let's get down to our week. How was your week, Sam?
That's been a great week.
Yeah.
I've got a new coaching client that I'm helping, a very young gentleman from the US who's just starting out his life, trying to find some purpose, just left his hometown to a completely another state, no friends, no contacts, and I almost feel like, I don't know if you watched that YouTube series yet. I believe it's on the Discovery Channel with that billionaire that...
Haven't yet.
Okay. It's really interesting. For a lot of you who haven't watched it, I would totally recommend watching it. It's a billionaire who decided to go 90 days out in the middle of the US with no resources, just an old beat up truck and $100 and create $1 million valued company from nothing. And so it almost feels like I'm kind of doing the same thing with him, except, he's there and I'm just giving him the resources by showing him how to be resourceful,
right,
through the tool. So it's kind of cool as he embarks on this new journey. Weather's been great here. Just had a nice dinner tonight with my wife because our lovely mother is watching the kids.
Yep.
And here we are today, really doing an important video. I think there's so much uncertainty in our province and with teachers and parents and, the whole confusion and lack of clarity about, what the school year is going to look like, and all those sorts of things that kind of are entangled within it, that I thought it'd be very important. Actually, this came up with having dinner with my wife and a lot of the things that even their colleagues are discussing, that this would be a really cool video to do for people. So, and here we are.
Here we are. Are you ready to go for it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So the first topic was beliefs around, giving advice to parents with kids returning back to school. And there's a lot of preconceived beliefs about, thoughts, what it's going to end up like, feel like, sound like, and there's a lot of apprehensiveness with parents. So what are your thoughts around that?
So this is actually something that touches home this week. So yesterday we were driving my son, your nephew, to ball hockey, and we're having a discussion about school. And my daughter had asked, is she going to be in the class with her best friend? And we started discussing some likely outcomes, and she just broke down crying in the car. She's like, I'm not going to be able to see my best friend. And we started trying to throw in different scenarios about, maybe after school, or, maybe we could, do some, at the end of the school, you can give each other notes, which you can open up at lunchtime. And she was just heartbroken. And, it really struck me because my wife started to get engaged, because she's obviously a professional and a teacher and going through a lot of uncertainty and struggles herself, like as I'm sure you are. And, while I was sitting there during my son's ball hockey game, I was thinking, is this kind of like how they want us to be right now? Is this the turmoil that needs to be created within a family dynamic with all this uncertainty? And I really just decided there and then that this wasn't going to happen. And we were no longer going to tolerate being on the whim of every latest news clip or information that's coming from obviously something from beyond us. And so we had a great talk afterwards. We really, got connected, really made sure we sat down with her and really felt connected to her the way she was feeling. And really decided right there and then that we were going to create the belief that no matter what happened from here on in, that would never change the outcome of who we are for one another.
Yeah.
And what the experience needs to be. And Viktor Frankl, I always use him as a reference because he obviously lived through the Nazi concentration era. And he always said, choice is the last human freedom and meaning is everything. And so we decided to create the belief that no matter what it looked like from here on in, that we were going to choose to be empowered, more connected, stay in tune with one another's needs, provide more compassion and empathy, and find a way to make the most of something that really doesn't seem like you can make a lot out of right now.
Yeah. And you were saying too that, they can still do positive things and believe things that are positive with the outcome, right? So teaching her those things, like you said, with the note sharing and, how to stay connected, because kids, like adults, we still need that longing for connection, love and connection. And they feel it too. So you're right. Getting in touch with that with her was probably very empowering and affirming for her, right? Because adults have the capability of understanding a little bit more than kids do. So making them a clear path as to why things are happening and what she's feeling is normal is very, very a smart way about going about it without just being like, well, you'll get over it. It's fine. That kind of thing, right?
Well, that's the whole thing. If there's one tip I want to share with people who are watching this, is sit down as a family. And one of you is going to have to step up and be the leader if one can't. Mm-hmm. And just say, okay, guys, listen, there's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of things that are going to change. But what is the one belief that we can create that we can always see happiness through anything that comes out? Gratitude, empathy, connection. And we can grow together from this, because there'll never be a time in our lives where we don't experience a struggle.
Yeah.
Right. So how do we grow together? And I think
100%.
As one of the human needs, if you want to do anything right now, try and find a way to grow and stay connected in this time of uncertainty.
100%. So the next one is facts and the impact it has on kids.
Yes. Yeah. So I don't know if you want to start or.
Go ahead.
Okay. So for me in the beginning, there was a lot of fear. There was a ton of anxiety and stress about, what exactly is a coronavirus? What does it do? How does it affect people? How does it affect adults, people with illness, kids? And, there's so much information out there that's contradictory. You just really don't know what to believe anymore. And so I think what can happen is a lot of parents right now, like I know from my wife's school, for example, 20% of them are choosing to, do homeschooling. Now, I don't know if that's because economics have changed. Maybe, one has lost their job or whatever the dynamic, maybe there's something more to it. But I'm sure a lot of it has to do with fear, the uncertainty, the anxiety of not knowing if they're throwing their kids in a school full of alligators and they're going to get eaten alive. And then they couldn't live with the guilt and the unknowns that they had the power to do something about it. And yet they sent them off anyway. Yeah. Out into the herd, to fend for themselves and hope that the best happens. And so I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I'm a doctor and I'm going to share facts with you. But if there's one thing that I recommend you do that's the most powerful thing you can do right now, is go and look at the facts on how this virus is affecting children. Mm-hmm. And what you're going to find based on the things that I've looked at, and maybe it's different where you are, is that kids are not really impacted by this. Where we are, there has been a few children that have been affected by this. I believe one has passed away, and they had underlying health issues. And so if we need to put it into context, if we need to put it into a perspective, and you're still on the fence about, is it a good idea? Isn't it a good idea to send your kid to school? Well, I don't think there's really a right or wrong. But if you really need to understand that if you're going to send them in, what you want to get clarity on first is find out about the facts. Call your doctor and ask. Consult with a professional. Look online on the CDC, and they have lots of criteria that shows, how kids have been impacted, what age groups. And then from there, you can make an intelligent decision based on factual information, whether or not it's a good idea to send them back. And from what I understand, we really don't have anything to worry about. Yeah. Right. So if there's one thing I really want to enforce is, don't allow the fear to be there if it doesn't need to be. Mm-hmm. You can be a little bit uncertain, but be guided by intelligence. And how do you gain the intelligence? You have to become educated. Right. Seek the knowledge that will guide you to make a proper decision. And it'll also instill that confidence in your children, like I have with my kids, which is you're going to school and you guys literally have nothing to worry about based on the information that we know. Go there, Have fun. Other kids might be fearful. They might be receiving different information. What you guys just need to do is trust what we're giving you and go there and live as if nothing has changed.
Right.
But if things change, we will let you know. Yeah. But that's for us to worry and concern about.
Yeah.
Your job is to be a child.
100%. And that's just like the whole concept, even as you become an adult, where it's like that inner child. It's like, you got to know which one needs to show up. And at this point, you're the adult. You need to reinforce the childlike behavior in your kids, right?
Well, I agree, but we all have personas.
100%.
And a lot of the times what we don't understand as adults, a lot of the things that we still fear were created when we were kids.
Yeah.
So we still have that ruling persona, but it's like the gentleman that I coached today. If you look at superhero movies, they're not always in that superhero persona. They are when they need to be. Yeah. And here's a time where, number one, you need to be there for yourself, your family, and your children, and guide them through this by collecting tidbits of knowledge and information that can lead you forward in the most empowering way.
Absolutely. That's a great point. So the last thing you want to talk about is meaning. How do we see the light in all of this, Sam?
So this is very crucial. And for someone who has experienced a lot of struggles in his life, mostly mental health related, anxiety, panic attacks for numerous years. And when I had the choice to, one, take the crutch, which was a pharmaceutical pill that I probably would still be on today, which if some of you are taking this or watching this, I have nothing against. You have to do what works for you. Or I had to find a way to look deep down inside me to find a way to create some sort of empowered meaning that was beyond what I was experiencing, to push forward in a way where it could create a different type of life for me.
Right.
And so if, I bring up Viktor Frankl again, here's a gentleman who lived through the Holocaust, saw all his friends and family get destroyed and slaughtered. And the fact that he gave it an empowering meaning, no matter what was happening, he was able to get through that and make a worldwide impact afterwards, because he knew that that was the only thing that he had the power to choose. And so while we were all in this together globally around the world, parents, teachers, children, this is something we are all experiencing. But where there's a choice is between these two things. Are you going to experience pain, or are you going to choose to suffer? And out of the two of them, one is an option, and that's suffering. And so if there's one other tool I want to give parents today, and it's something that, I still struggle with myself. I'm not here talking like as if I have it all together. There's still a lot of things that I question. There's blueprints of what I see the future what that looks like. And it kind of scares me, but at times, when I have talks with my wife, I try to go back to that hero within me that says, okay, what do I have the power to control? What meaning can I give this so I can still find a way to make a difference? And I'm doing a video right now. That to me is bringing meaning to, choosing to look at it where there's a light where there might not be.
100%. And that's it too, right? Because, a lot of the times it's conditioning too, right? Like you hear the same thing over and over and over, you begin to believe it, right? But when you start questioning things and the morality of things and, what you can do to be the change, that's where you see the light at the end of the tunnel, right? Because it doesn't have to be a scary world. There can be so many positive and beautiful, makings out of a situation like this. It's just, you got to have that courage to see past, the mainstream ideologies and narratives, right? So is there anything else you want to mention before we sign off, Sam?
Yeah, so I just want to share one thing, even for teachers, and I know I've talked to my wife about this. Regardless of what you have to wear and what your classroom looks like and where the kids get to play, it still doesn't choose your role, your title. You are there to teach. Mm-hmm. And it's in times of uncertainty where most of us are forced to grow. Mm-hmm. So if there's one meaning that you want to get from this, is learn how to become a better teacher.
Yeah.
If there's one thing that you need to create from this when it comes to meaning, learn how to be that resourceful parent.
Yeah.
If there's one thing that you want to do when it comes to meaning, find a way that no matter what happens from here and tomorrow and anything else that comes up in our future, that you are going to decide that this is going to make you feel more connected, more love and growth, and any single human need, which are 6, at the utmost highest level, because that is always the choice that we have.
Absolutely. I think that's a good sentiment to why we do what we do, because with the relationship series, we always talk about the matters of the heart and mind. And to support this channel, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell down below. That will help, get us through the algorithms, and share this with those who need to hear something along these lines that they're struggling with. All right. So on that note, we will talk to you all later. Ciao for now.